FM 90.
Brought to you by Housing Finance Bank, a financial institution regulated by Bank of Uganda. Housing Finance Bank, we make it easy.
Your views, our interviews on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM 90.
A very good evening to you, and thank you very much for tuning in to Radio 1 FM 90, and welcome to this edition of Spectrum. We are coming to you live from the Central Building, the home of Radio 1 FM 90 in the heart of our city, Kampala. Radio 1 is also broadcasting live on its website, www.radio1fm90.com. You click on the icon with the word Listen Live. You can also find us on DSTV. Our audio channel there is 897. And on StarTimes, our audio channel is 97. There's also the option of listening to us online. That's the option of using the radio listening apps. There are several: TuneIn, AfroMobile, UTV channel, Radio Garden, and Stream Afrique. Download any of those from the Google Store of your smartphone. Look for Radio 1 FM 90. And as long as you have an internet connection, you will be able to enjoy quality programming. This evening, we'll be looking at the appointment and constitution of the Electoral Commission. Well, news broke last night that President Yoweri Museveni had nominated members of the Electoral Commission, avoiding a crisis that was pending. Now, today, it was confirmed that he had reappointed Justice Simon Byabakama as chairman and Hajat Aisha Lubega as his deputy. Honorable Stephen Tasobia, a former MP, has also been reappointed as a member of the commission, and he's joined by former Nansana Municipality MP Kasule Sebunya, former Kyoga County MP Anthony Okello, Mackay University lecturer Dr. Sally Simba Kayunga, and Pamela Etunu Okudi, who has been an administrator at the Electoral Commission. Now, if vetted and approved by Parliament, that team will be expected to organize, manage, and declare the 2026 election results in line with the enabling electoral laws. Now, this development has caused a debate within the political landscape, but also among other actors, especially those in civil society who closely follow governance issues. So this evening, we'll be analyzing this development, trying to understand what lies ahead as we prepare for the 2026 general elections. My two guests, Mr. Henry Muguzi, Executive Director at the Alliance for Finance Monitoring, one of the civil society organizations that follow closely the developments within the governance sphere. Good evening, and thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, good evening, listeners, and good evening, Kenneth. Thank you for having me tonight.
Also in studio, Mr. Felix Adupa Ogwech is a leader at the NRM Transformers Cadres Association. He's a political actor, very active in Lango sub-region. Good evening, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening, our listeners. I have so many titles that sometimes you don't understand. So from today onwards, I have to give you all my titles so that you addressed me properly.
Okay.
I am the president of Transformer Cadres Association, Uganda.
President.
I'm a former parliamentary candidate for Kyoga County.
Kyoga County.
That is in Amolata district. I am a minister for justice and constitutional affairs for a clan called Oumolao, my own clan.
In Lango.
Oumolao is the first clan that taught people how to dress up when things went bad in the Garden of Eden. People started looking for the skins of animals to cover themselves. So we originated from that first tribe. So I am their minister for justice and constitutional affairs. So when you are talking to me, sometimes you are addressing a cultural leader. So you have some decorum on that.
So if I'm addressing a cultural leader, then you should not be politically active, because the Institution of Cultural Leaders Act does not actually allow you to engage in partisan politics.
I am a minister appointed by the chief. So
you serve in an institution that should be politically silent. But anyway, let's focus on our discussion this evening. Yes. Very quickly, Mr. Muguzi, there was a crisis pending. So many people have been asking questions. When is the president appointing the Electoral Commission members? etc. This debate has been going on for the last 2 weeks, so to say. Finally, last night, news started trickling in that some appointments had been made, and today we saw that letter transmitting the names of the appointed people to the Speaker of Parliament for vetting.
Yeah, Kenneth, thank you very much. Of course, let me start by congratulating the Justice Simon Byabakama upon his reappointment. We had thought that his appointment was a foregone conclusion up until December last year, when we saw that the days were running out and there was silence coming from the appointing authority. And the fact that he had packed his bags and only had to come back, I think it's only fair that I congratulate him. Together with
What do you mean he had packed his bag?
Because they handed over office on Monday. Ordinarily, the appointing authority should have notified and appointed them early enough so that he does not have to go through the disappointment of being seen to be packing your bags and your books and locking and handing over the office a person in the capacity of Justice Simon Byabakama. I think that was did not come down well.
Probably the locking and carrying your bags away simply was an indication that this term had ended.
I don't think he did so happily.
He is ready for the next.
That you wait for the term to end, it means that also the appointing authority has not been happy, but he is taking their time to look for possible alternatives, options, and only get back to you if they don't see anybody better. But that if they had a better person,
why would the appointing authority do that?
Because the predecessors of the justice had to be notified in time. But before, let me also congratulate Hajat Aisha Lubega upon her reappointment. But most importantly, I have to very happily congratulate my own Don, Dr. Sally Simba Kayunga. Dr. Sally Simba Kayunga taught me political science as an undergraduate student at Makerere University, but he also taught me state and the economy at master's level. He's been my mentor in terms of research on issues of democracy. So it's only fair that I congratulate him. Now to your question proper. So, indeed, over the last 2 weeks, and most importantly, since last week, when it became apparent that the 7th day of January was drawing close and there was nothing, there was no smoke coming out of the office of the president, we started to, a lot of the discussions and scenario building started making rounds. We also actually thought yesterday we were having a discussion in the morning that how can it be that we have less than 18 months to the nomination of parliamentary candidates next year, and we don't have a commission in place? Are we not headed for a crisis? But now all that is history. We have a commission. We congratulate them. The commission comes in office at a time when there are serious credibility issues to grapple with. And I think the work is well cut out and defined. I think in terms of continuity, there might not be a problem because the Justice Simon Byabakama and in also Commissioner Tashovia and Hajat Aisha Lubega, there is a institutional memory, and therefore you'd expect that what they had laid forward as a roadmap, that should continue, seamlessly, and that would should also help the new commissioners coming on board as to fit in. There are questions about the performance of the other commissioners who were not called back, the ones who have served only one term.
One term.
Yes. So it's not clear what they did. There are issues about what does it mean for us to continue, entrusting and resting all the powers to appoint the commission in the hands of one man. What would have happened if the one man, one decided to continue for the next 2 months? What would that mean for the country? So I think that those are serious issues we were discussing yesterday, and which then bring back to the table the debate on how the Electoral Commission in Uganda is constituted, and which has been the bone of contention for quite a number of years. I remember so vividly at the time we were running what we called the Citizens Compact on free and fair elections. We advocated that the appointment of commissioners has to be, taken away from a man who is also going to be a candidate. The man is a candidate. He appoints people that has a commission that is supposed to act as an electoral umpire in a game where he's also participating, but also in a game where his interests are clear. Okay, he has also showed them for free, as we normally say in the usual language, that you see, I can appoint and disappoint. That your future, your stay in this position rests upon my whims and caprices. Yeah, that those 2 days we've spent, 2 or 3, without a substantial commission in place, have speak volumes. So there are quite a number of things we need to reflect on and ponder and contemplate as citizens in terms of the future of democracy in Uganda, but also what that means in terms of the impartiality and independence of the commission that is supposed to act as an umpire for all parties, including parties that would want to unseat the sitting president. So those are some of the things I think challenges they need to grapple with.
All right, very quickly, you jumped very quickly into how we actually have the electoral commission appointed. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you what you think about the caliber of people that have been appointed there. I heard you talking about Dr. Sally Kamba, which means you know something about him. I also heard you talk about Justice Simon Byabakama. We know already his record, having been in that position. What would be your take about the caliber of people?
So with Justice Simon Byabakama, for me as a researcher but also a member of civil society, I already know he has not so good impression about civil society activists. His understanding is that we are so critical of everything he's doing. So literally he would want a civil society that transforms itself into a mouthpiece of the commission, which cannot happen anywhere. Otherwise is to criticize. We cannot, if you have done things that are good, you have an office, of a PR office, which is paid to, publicize that. Otherwise is to see what is not going well and mention it. And we're doing this because we love the country and we want improvement. But when we do so, then he takes that person.
When did you see that? When did you see that coming?
So the relationship we have had, I have been around this country working on democracy in the arena of civil society for quite a number of years. The commission which we have had the roughest relationship with is the Justice Byabakama Commission. And that comes from how he perceives of civil society. It was only this commission under the tutelage and watch of Justice Byabakama that a civil society the election observers would be denied accreditation. It was under Justice Byabakama that civil society observers were arrested on election day, observing an election as the citizens of the country for which they have a right to participate in as observers. Many things have happened. It's under Justice Byabakama that when we submitted reports from the observation and wanted to, go and discuss them, none of our organizations was accorded opportunity to do so. But
so you think that will continue?
I think that will continue. Now let me talk about my Don. So he's a man, Dr. Sally Simba Kayunga is a man that has always had very strong views about democracy and what direction and trajectory this country should take if it is to democratize. The challenge he's going to have is that he's a political scientist. For us as political scientists, sometimes we see the world differently from those other colleagues of ours that have come from the other, the other side from the domain of law. The way they see things is different from the way we see it. So Dr. Simba Sally Kayunga has to now, come to terms with the reality that he needs to find a way of working, of fitting his strong views on democracy with the views of the chairperson. Yeah, and I think for the rest of the commissioners, those that have been in the arena and have tested the ground, Honorable Sevunya, Honorable Anthony, these have tested it. You would imagine, but Tashibe also did test the ground. But you would imagine that they would, they have something to bring onto the table in terms of putting in place something that can be seen to be independent and level, a playing field that is level.
Okay. When you bring out that issues, some people have been saying all those are NRM people. We have not named to be MPs who are holding the NRM party ticket, and therefore some people say they are carrying with them their political bias. Are they likely to share them?
Yes.
And also, when I put up that list of the appointed people on my WhatsApp status, I also got feedback from some people. Some former students of Dr. Simba actually wrote in. One of them said, I am seeing my former lecturer there. Not that I am surprised. The guy never hid his support for the NRM.
So the professor supports NRM. But I think the bigger point of what you are saying is are we certain, beyond reasonable doubt, that this commission is going to be
impartial,
independent, impartial? Because across Africa today, one of the things that the challenges that nations are grappling with is the issue of independence of the Electoral Commission. In areas where the Electoral Commission is appointed by the sitting president, there are issues of impartiality. But also in places where they use a different methodology. In Kenya, in Nigeria, still the independence of the Electoral Commission becomes a problem.
An issue.
But when you read about democracy, they tell us that one of the biggest things that weigh heaviest on impartiality and independence of an Electoral Commission is the manner and procedures that are taken to appoint it. Okay? Yeah, because you don't want a situation where those that have been appointed are perceived or interpreted to be stooges of the party that is in power.
All right.
So I think this is something that those that have been appointed are going to have to grapple with in order to convince the country that they can, perform as an impartial electoral umpire.
All right, let's bring in Mr. Dupa. Your take on this development. Finally, we have the names of people who have been appointed to the Electoral Commission, and one of them actually happens to come from your region, Honorable Anthony Okello. Earlier on, before we came to the program, you were actually telling us how he is your immediate political competitor in the constituency of Kyoga.
Thank you very much, Kenneth, and my brother. First of all, I want to congratulate all of them, right from Justice Simon Biamakama Mugenyi. I knew Justice Simon when he was a resident judge in Lira. He worked there very well. And when he was appointed the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, I had no doubt that he will manage the election. The rest of the team, I have got no any objection whatsoever for that appointment. And people were asking that we need a fully constituted commission since the terms of the office of the current commission had expired. Ugandans were very rowdy on social media, making a lot of unnecessary noise.
They were making legitimate noise because the tenure had expired.
You see, the authorities that are mandated to do that, they had no need. There was no need.
But they were not acting on
now they have acted on it. There is again another cry. You see that? So, the president of Uganda, His Excellency General Yoweri Tibahura Museveni, has exercised his constitutional mandate to appoint the commissioners. Okay? It is now the duty of the appointment committees of parliament right now, chaired by Right Honorable Anita Among, to vet the appointed commissioners. Now, if any Ugandan has got any problem about these names, about this appointment, you are free to lobby the members of the appointment committee. You are free to go to the speaker and have your objection, either in writing or personal interference with the speaker as the chair of the appointment committee, and said, I have problem with Mr. Ken Anderson Lukwago. What is the matter? Integrity. What has he done, or what has she done? Was a law done at Makerere University during his tenure? A, B, C, and D has happened. Okay? I have a problem with so and so. Those are the things now we should be talking about. We should not be talking, why has he appointed on the NRM, all this and that. No, there is still a remedy. There's
But I
still
can
a
still even go to
solution.
that committee and complain that he has appointed NRM people.
Okay, so
Not
you
so.
you now can go on social media. It won't help. This is where sometimes we go wrong as countrymen and women. We like shortcuts. We don't like formalizing things. Anybody who has got any objection on the above persons should go and meet the committee of the appointment, committees of parliament, raise their issues, and then they will be heard. But I have seen in most cases, most of the appointment that are sent to parliament, I don't see people going. You just hear them objecting over social media, but they don't go and interface with the appointment committees. So we should even now start leaving this behavior of rejecting things or criticizing things on social media or different platforms. We should start acting. In the National Assembly of Kenya, when such appointment has happened, okay, the appointment committee gives rooms to people to come and give their views. Public's opinion, the same public opinion that we are giving on social media, we can take it to parliament, where the final decision will be taken. The president has exercised his duties, said, I have nominated the following.
All right.
Go there, let the appointment committee look into your CVs, interface with you, interview you. If they find you are fit, they will give you the job.
All right. You have a privilege of knowing deeply one of the people who have been nominated, Honorable Anthony Okello. What kind of person are we looking at?
Anthony Okello. First of
Okello.
all, I have high regards for Honorable Anthony Okello. Having served Kyoga County as a member of parliament for 10 years, having served in the finance committee of parliament, and then his track record is very clear. He has a very good track record. Even we, the people of Kyoga County, for the 10 years that he had been in parliament, we had not seen any serious problem with him. But you know, the election, the mandate are given to people to choose their leaders. And that is what makes you know that there is democracy.
I was reading about that particular election in your constituency, and I could see that probably the reason he lost is because he supported the lifting of the presidential age limit. I remember an incident in that constituency where he was almost beaten.
People think that is the reason, but to me, I can say without fear or any ill contradiction, that was not the reason why Honorable Anthony lost. The problem was with us, the NRM.
Okay.
It is us who made that loss. So I am not going to say it because of supporting lifting of the age limit. We had so many members of NRM who were contesting, and there was those votes that we divided all our votes.
Is he the kind of person who is likely to shed off his political inclination and do a good job at the Electoral Commission?
He is a sober-minded person. And I don't have any doubt in my mind that he will only stick to the aspiration and the desire of NRM, because it is now shifting from an NRM issue to a national issue. This is the National Electoral Commission. It's not a party. If they wanted them to handle matters of NRM, they would be appointed commissioners of NRM. But they are appointed commissioners of the National Electoral Commission of Uganda. That is mandated to organize and prepare free and fair election in Uganda. And the reason why election, I don't know why people does not know why they said election is supposed only to be free and fair. It has never been free and good. It must be free and fair, because in the process something happens. So many challenges.
But the results must be acceptable.
So, accepting result is one thing. Okay? Conceding defeat is also another thing.
All right.
Where there is an acceptance of result, there is a remedy. Which remedy? You go to court.
All right. Spectrum on Radio 1 FM.
So
let's just go for a break.
We should not be worrying so much. People should not be thinking that because they appointed others at the NRM background, they are now called for a national duty.
All right. Let's go for a break. When we return, we'll jump into the manner in which the Electoral Commission is actually appointed. You talked about the Appointments Committee of Parliament. That seems to suggest that it's a good process where issues can be raised. But Mr. Mguzia seemed to suggest that there's a problem with the way the Electoral Commission is actually constituted. Let's go for a break. When we return, we'll focus a little bit there to see whether the two of you can agree and what lessons we can learn from the other jurisdictions. Stay tuned to Radio 1 FM 90. Spectrum continues after this break.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90. Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
Thank you so much for joining us on Spectrum, live on Radio 1 FM 90. We are looking at the appointment and constitution of the Electoral Commission. This discussion is based on the fact that earlier today we learned that President Yoweri Museveni has appointed a new Electoral Commission. We have Justice Simon Byabakama retaining that position as chairman, deputized by Hajat Aisha Lubega. And then we have Honorable Stephen Tashobia, who comes back as a member of the commission. We have former Nansana Municipality MP Robert Kasule Sebunya, former Kyoga County MP Anthony Okello, Mackay University lecturer Dr. Sally Simba Kayunga, and Pamela Etunu Okudi, who has been an administrator at the Electoral Commission, being named. Their names have been sent to the Speaker of Parliament ahead of vetting, which will occur pretty soon, I think, according to the need for them to actually be in office in order to continue implementing the electoral roadmap for 2026, which had already been launched by the Electoral Commission. My guest today, Mr. Felix Adupa Ogech, President of the Transformers Cadres Association, is a man who is linked with the NRM. He's an NRM member who contested for Kyoga County MP, where one of the people appointed actually comes from. Then also in studio we have Mr. Henry Muguzi, Executive Director at the Alliance for Finance Monitoring, member of civil society who is deeply engaged in issues of governance in this country. Well, gentlemen, now let's look at the process through which these people are appointed. We know the president nominates, sends the names to the Appointments Committee of Parliament, and then if they pass the interview there, then they are given the instruments and they begin executing their work at the Electoral Commission. Who wants to jump in first?
Well, you see, there are sometimes we may blame their appointing authority, but sometimes we may not need to blame him. You see, the framers of the 1995 Constitution, those one who went to the CA,
including himself,
okay, they are the one who did this thing. And when the 1995 Constitution was promulgated, Ugandans jumped. Everybody was very happy that finally we have our Constitution. And all this mandate was given to the president, okay, by the Constitution. There was no anywhere in the Constitution at that time stopping the president from appointing who, or you should appoint so and so. There was nothing of that nature. Now, we cannot come back and blame him of appointing anybody of his choice, because the power had been invested in him to appoint the members of the commission. Now, where sometimes I get challenges that people who are supposed to rectify some of these mistakes or some of these errors, or we can call it a lacuna in the Constitution, are in Parliament. They are the one who are supposed to say, no, we have looked here, we feel this one should have not been like this. This is our interest. This is what we think it is supposed to be. So that such powers, if Ugandans, fellow countrymen and women, feels that it is much bigger than the head of state, we find a way of reducing it. Another issue here is that the president also look into around his cycle, because everybody is saying why always he appoint NRMs, people who are loyal to the party, and so on and so forth. Even you can tomorrow, it will be very difficult for you to appoint Henry. If I become the president, I have not worked with Henry. I don't know who is Henry. Other people may know him, his capability. You understand? But me, I may not be able to know who is Henry. Yet Henry is capable of being a commissioner, but I don't know him. But here is Kenneth that I have worked with at the rank of a member of parliament. Here is a professor or a lecturer at Makerere University. I have interfaced with students that she has taught or he has taught them in Makerere, and I have got testimonies about such a person. Definitely, I will appoint, basing on my experience, on those people. So sometimes people may blame President Museveni. Why is he doing this? But people he knows them better.
All right.
And we should now look into electoral reforms if we are to achieve all this, that the president should not appoint the chairperson of the Electoral Commission and the commissioners. Now, it takes us back to Parliament. What are we doing on electoral reforms? There were recommendations by the Supreme Court during Mbabazi petition, I remember. There were several recommendations whereby the government, the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs should come table electoral reforms before Parliament. Parliament look into them and see which one are we going with, which one are we going to leave out. So I urge members of Parliament and the civil society, you the people, who are civil society advocating for democracy, fairness in elections, and so on, support this idea that there should be electoral reforms. If all these reforms are done, then this kind of sentiments may stop. But for now, the power is with the President of the Republic of Uganda to appoint.
This might take
Mr. Mugusi.
This might take. Now, of course, let me inform my brother that the discussion on reforms to change the manner in which the Electoral Commission is constituted have been on the table since 2005, when they presented the omnibus. The Citizens' Compact laid out it clearly. Everybody has talked about it, but they have been amending the constitution several times, and this matter has been ignored. Now, when it comes to Uganda, we know that the Electoral Commission independence is a complex issue, and it's often very controversial. But I want to point out one of the factors that define an Electoral Commission as not being independent, and one of those factors is the manner in which the commissioners are appointed. For a president to forget that when you become president and swear in, you cease to be president of your party. You are now president of all Ugandans. We are operating in a multi-party system, a system under your watch, was initiated. You remember in 2005 when we went, we shifted from a movement system to multi-party. So he accepted to continue to superintend over a multi-party system. It is only fair that as the head of state, you are being seen to be reaching out to the other sections of the population. Now, you imagine the commission as it is now. Everybody you look at is NRM. Now, the three commissioners that have been there before, maybe let me say two. I think it is Hajat Aisha and Justice Piabakama. Those have not participated in partisan politics. But my brother Tashobia and many others, those have clearly been NRM party members, and they have participated on the side of NRM. The Maidon Professor Dr.
Sally
Kayunga is a renowned NRM supporter. So basically, you are looking at a commission that is composed of only NRM, supporters. Now, the chairman.
You want the president to appoint.
That's about it.
You want the president to appoint Nyanzi Sentamu.
If you were in the shoes of President Museveni, what would you do?
If I was in the shoes of President Museveni, I would
Appointing
want
Nyanzi
to
Sentamu.
be seen.
Let's listen to him.
I would want to be seen to be practicing what I preach. One of the principles of his party is democracy, democratization. Isn't it democracy that is one of the principles of NRM? Democracy, presupposes
Patriotism.
that you tolerate views of other political parties. You understand and appreciate that other political parties must be in play. There must be an opposition side. So for you to come out and choose a commission that is going to serve as umpire, superintending over a game which others are going to participate, other political parties are going to participate in. I don't know what perception he's trying to create, but the writing is as clear as black and white that I have appointed an NRM-based commission. Their work is cut out to ensure that the NRM is entrenched in power. And so if you are going to contest this in 2026, I think you better think twice as an opposition party, because you just know that at the level of presidency, this commission is going to serve what it must serve. Now, so these are some of the things as president I think he should have looked into, and he rightly put it. I think it's important that one of the citizens gets there and contests this position. You cannot have an electoral commission that the people are construing as biased. And remember, issues of democracy, issues of election, fairness are about perceptions. The kind of perception that the president is putting out there is that the commission is going to be biased. So I think I would have done it differently. Now, let me also say this, that electoral integrity, which is one of the challenges of many countries in Africa, including Uganda, is inextricably linked with the credibility of the electoral commission in place. And the credibility of the electoral commission, that the issue of the bone of contention that has been on the table for quite a long time, is the manner in which it was constituted. Now, we don't know what, because we don't know what assignment they've been given. We know that before any such appointment is done, there's a lot of background checking that is conducted. Sometimes people come, state agents come and speak to you and let you know the president is interested in appointing you. This is going to happen. So we don't know, and we strongly doubt whether the people that have been appointed are going to be impartial. And let me say this lastly. We have a disease in Uganda where when someone is appointed by the president, they have this feeling, there is a sense in which they feel indebted to please the appointing authority. We have a lack of good men and women in public offices that have the backbone to say no to unacceptable behavior. So I think if you look at, in that regard, look at what's been happening. The opposition political parties, I can imagine they must be now up in arms. They're saying, look, we are being given a raw deal here. Our fate is sealed, literally. So these are some of the things I think that they're going to have to grapple with. And the parliament that is going to endorse this,
you see,
these officers, I think they should look into those seriously.
All right.
God created us, and we serve God. And we must desist from this act of saying when you are appointed, you don't serve the appointing authority. This is an obvious. Even you, tomorrow, if you are appointed, you are going to serve the interest of those one who have appointed you, but in respect to the constitutional mandate.
To serve the interests
Okay.
of those
In respect of the constitutional what? Mandate. These people have got a constitutional mandate to take on. Now, he has said that why always President Museveni appointing NRM and so on. President Museveni has been cutting across. He has appointed a man who is a DP as a minister. Even members of the opposition, they were even making noise Why have you appointed Mao? Mao has been brought to NRM. He has appointed she's called Sebogwao. She has been appointed a minister from FDC. Are we together? So, if you are talking about being a fountain of honor, President Museveni has appointed people from different political divide, and they are serving in this government. So, we must not say that President Museveni is only sticking to NRM. Even as sometimes we in the NRM, we sometimes we said, why did you appoint Mao? Why did you appoint Grace? Huh? Are you seeing that? But he sees that these are people who can serve the country.
All right.
So you shouldn't. We
are looking at a situation where there is competition, political competition. And let's use the example of a football game. You have two teams fighting for 3 points, and then one of the teams actually get to decide who should actually decide the outcome of that particular match. Is that fairness?
He may award the penalty where it's not due.
Shouldn't there be maybe a football association
the game has
to decide who should be the referee?
The game has got the rule. The rule of the game is there, and here the rule of the game that is playing and directing how the match is supposed to be played is the constitution. That is the rule of the game. The constitution said, as long as you become the president of the Republic of Uganda, the power to appoint who organize the next election is you. That is the rule of the game. So how the match is played, it is now you to go and organize your team to come and meet the referees. That is it.
Can't give you a red card where
all right,
the yellow one is
let's
due.
go to the comments that
So
are
that
coming
is
in.
the game.
Let's go to the comments that are coming in from the listeners. What lies ahead as far as elections in Uganda are concerned is the usual violence and chaos. The appointment of commissioners goes to show that Ugandans are not in charge of their country. How can the formation of a National Electoral Commission be the responsibility of one person? We have another comment from Henry who says, should the commissioner's tenure end up at once? How about appointing individuals start and end dates? Some people same results. We don't think Byabakama can announce Jaja beaten in elections. We have a comment. One commissioner, Peter Emorot, was dropped. Speculators think it's because of the Messi Bukedea by-election that attracted the attention of the president. Emorot, together with Speaker Among, come from Bukedea. We are just connecting dots. That is Zelensky there with that comment. Kenneth asked the gentleman in studio, the Electoral Commission of Kenya is not appointed by the president. Has it performed any better than the one in Uganda? Let it be known that there is no one who is not partisan, including religious, traditional leaders, the media, including you, Kenneth. We all have our preferences. However, when offering public service, we should not let our personal preferences influence our decisions. Then we have another comment. Good evening, Kenneth. This is your listener, Odong Lango from Lira City. Thank you very much for tuning in from all the way in Lango sub-region. When they are electing the Pope, no one will accept to let a witch doctor preside over that elections. Have a nice evening to all your listeners. Well, that's how we actually capture this discussion. Very quickly, let's respond to those comments as we wind up the discussion. And probably you can also give us your best way forward. What do you think we need to do? This one has happened. Should we have a debate about it? Should we go for electoral reforms like you said?
My way forward here, if these parliamentarians are very serious people, they should look into electoral reforms. And my position has been very clear. When you look at my proposal for the constitutional amendments, we had proposed so many things. One of them, how the electoral commission supposed to be constituted. It is in that reform. But
what did you propose?
You see, the appointment should not, to me, for us, we were proposing that they advertise that there is vacancy, for the chairperson and the commissioners of the Electoral Commission. Put what are the qualifications needed. Ugandans who are there, they apply. They are shortlisted. The Public Service Commission is there, interviewed these members. their names, the best suitable candidates, their names are forwarded to the president for this for the appointment. Okay, and then later on they are sent to parliament. And these commissioners, all these successful applicants, they are supposed to interface with a committee of parliament responsible for this. Let's say maybe a committee of legal and parliamentary affairs, maybe a committee of defense and internal affairs, whatever committee it may be. Okay, then the report of that committee is tabled in the house, and then the members also make a debate.
The NRM dominated house, you mean?
Okay, no, that you cannot say NRM dominated. That it means that NRM mobilized and have numbers. So if you want to mobilize, have numbers. This is some of the proposal we have, but delay of electoral reforms and so on should not be blamed on one person. Right. Parliament had a responsibility to do.
But you see, the other side, you can also blame the executive. They have a monopoly sometimes in as far as introducing bills are concerned. I know private members and even the opposition can do that, but their business take precedent, take the first priority in the house.
But like electoral reform, these are serious matters. If members are serious that we must do this right now, the leader of opposition, now Honorable Joel Senyonyi, this is the time.
No, but he has no numbers.
Okay, this is the time. Meet the business committees, said we need electoral reforms. Engage the ministry responsible for justice. Engage the stakeholders. Now, there are certain things that we in the political cycle, we don't need to use defiance all the time. We sometimes need to have a dialogue and say here, the rule of the game has been set. We are the team player here, but we think the way we are playing this game is not right. Let us set how the landsman and the referee are supposed to come. So these are some of the issues that we need to address as a country. My last message to Ugandans is that if anybody has got any problem about these people who have been appointed, you still have time.
Let me
go to parliament, start lobbying from tonight. You can go to parliamentary website. You are going to get the list, the numbers of those members of the appointment committees that is chaired by the speaker. Read them to Ugandans. Let them start lobbying these members of parliament who are in the appointment committees and say to me, I have an interest against so and so.
All right.
You will be given opportunity.
All right, let's
and hear your
Mr.
grievances.
Muguzi,
let me start by disabusing my brother of the faith he has in that parliament. Because in the lead up to 2016 elections, there was a flurry of a plethora of electoral reforms that were presented. You know the fate they suffered. So don't put a lot of hope in that parliament. Let me say this, that of course the credibility of electoral commissions is an issue in Africa, Eastern Europe, and many other developing countries in Latin America. But the most important factor of the matter is that an electoral commission worth its title should be politically neutral. We ask ourselves the question, if you look at this commission as proposed, do you think that's going to be politically neutral? The other thing we need to ponder around is the fact that if I was president that wants to be seen to be, advancing the principles of democracy, why don't I open up and say, okay, opposition, you are key players in this game. You're going to participate. How about if you nominate 3, I nominate 4? When I nominate 4 as president, I have the numbers. If the matter goes to vote, I have my 4. So that you are being seen to be allowing participation and inclusion of all the parties concerned. But that the head of state who prophesies and preaches democracy as one of the core principles of his party decides to appoint a commission with only NRM supporters, I think leaves a lot to be desired. And
the Lord did not guide him whom to choose. The Lord gave him authority.
So the Lord does not tell you.
The experience President Yoweri Museveni has should be able to save.
You see, this man, Uganda, is now the democratic maker, political maker of many countries in Africa. many presidents have come here to mimic the political wisdom from the president. This is one thing he had to be seen to be doing, and I think he's falling short.
All right.
And I think all citizens have to challenge this in all ways possible, including legal means.
All right, with that we come to the end of Spectrum. Let me thank you, my dear guests, Mr. Henry Muguzi, Executive Director, Alliance for Finance Monitoring. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Mr. Felix Adupa Ongech, President of the Transformers Cadres Association, NRM member.
I had a question for him.
You'll talk to him probably outside the studio. Up next, we have the news in English with Miss Josephine Dagano. Thereafter, we'll have the Soul Train, but do join us tomorrow for Spectrum Extra, 2 hours of analysis of the top events of the week. Until then, have a good evening.